coach.org.
Okay, we're getting back to the last segment. In 1 second, we'll finish up with people who were unsatisfied and also about making payments.
Steve Hirsch on 1450 and 95.9 FM, WOL, where information is power.
Praise the Lord, everybody. We are back. Anthony Miles, your Christian Reverse Mortgage Answer Man. Today is our hour show, and it's the last segment on if you're satisfied or unsatisfied with your current reverse mortgage, or if you're satisfied or unsatisfied with the information you've heard about the reverse if it's your first time. 1-800-952-PRAY, 1-800-952-7729. And we were leaving with, in the last segment, about making those payments and why it's really important, because making a payment on a reverse mortgage properly prepares you for your retirement. And this is how. A lot of people who are at least 62 are refinancing right now as we speak. 70 years old, 80 years old, they're still refinancing. They're robbing Peter to pay Paul. I know what that's all about, okay? I've been through it. But if you're doing a refinance of a regular mortgage at 62, you got to understand you're going to be making that payment for the next probably 15 to 30 years, depending on the term limit of that mortgage. But every payment you make, you can't get back. And 5 years down the road, when you're 62 and you turn 67 5 years later and you're married and your spouse passes on and you lose that pension money, you lose those survivor benefits because there were none because it wasn't set up accordingly, which means, hint, hint, you need to call right now, not me, but your pension or the Social Security Department and find out, hypothetically, God forbid, but it's going to happen, what happens when your spouse passes on. Do you get that money? Because if you don't, you need to plan your budget accordingly now, because you're going to be in for a financial shock. And if you're one of those people that I get these phone calls all the time from that are still making payments on a regular mortgage and then their spouse passes on, that regular mortgage payment didn't cut in half, that electric bill didn't cut in half. The only thing that cut in half is maybe the food bill, okay? And I'm not saying that in a sarcastic way, but a realistic way. That's it. That's it. But you still are responsible for every single one of those other bills. And it's horrific to be left in that financial position because you're not going to survive. You are not then properly prepared for a successful retirement. What you are properly prepared for is doom and gloom. You got no time to grieve for that passing of that spouse, and all of a sudden you're going to be forced to possibly lose your home to foreclosure or sell the home you wanted to stay in. In a reverse mortgage, and we call it the Flex Pay Reverse. So one of the things people didn't know, they can make payments. That Flex Pay Reverse, or the reverse in general, allows you to make payments every single month. So it's called Prove to Me That You Are Prepared for Your Retirement Successfully. Prove it to me by still making these payments every month. And then 5 years down the road, when that spouse passes on and you need to stop making those payments, you can do so now without any penalty whatsoever. You don't have to make a call and say, I need to stop making the payments. You just stop making them because no payment was actually ever required. You controlled that payment amount. That's what that definition of not required is. And if you control the amount, that amount becomes your decision. 0 is an amount, or 1 million is an amount, okay? So if you decide for it to be 0 once that spouse passes on, then you make it 0. And you walk away staying in that home without losing your home to foreclosure. You got time to grieve that loved one, and now you're saving up financially from not making that payment anymore. But guess what else you have? You have this huge savings account that you acquired because every payment, remember, on a reverse that you make on that Flex Pay Reverse, every single payment you make not only goes towards the mortgage balance and knocks that down, but is matched by the bank like a retirement savings account and put into a line of credit which collects interest in your favor. So if you were making a $1,000 a month payment, after 12 months, that's $12,000 that you paid down your mortgage. That's also $12,000 that was matched by the bank and put in that line of credit savings account. After 5 years, you do the math, 12 times 5, 60. That's $60,000 you paid towards the mortgage and $60,000 that's sitting in a tax-free line of credit savings account that you can use at your disposal. Properly preparing for your retirement. But nobody knows this information because nobody cares to tell you. They don't care to go one step further. But that's what I'm about. That's why I come to people's homes. Look, if you want me to come out to your home, meet your family, and sit down with you without any pens, I don't come out there with pens, all right? And you want me to explain this? It doesn't cost you anything. I'll do it absolutely for free. I just don't want to get a phone call 5 years later and you go, my spouse passed on, Mr. Miles. I should have listened to you because we refinanced with a regular mortgage and I'm losing the home now. I don't want that to happen. So that's what this free information is about. Okay, unsatisfied. I talk to people all the time and I go, hey, how do you feel about the reverse mortgage? I hate it. I hate it. It's the worst thing. It's a nightmare. It's a scam. You're absolutely right. I hate it also. It's a scam. I agree with you 100%. I am not there to disagree. I'm there to agree. And you hate it because you were never properly informed about what the reverse was. And because you were not properly given the information you so well deserved and were not given, it then turned into a nightmare. And it then turned into a scam. And that's what we're trying to avoid. So people call all the time. My sister calls people, my mom calls people, and we hear the information. And that's why I do this radio show, because I know you're frustrated with the reverse, because I am too. I'm frustrated with the person who put you in the reverse that did not give all that information. So yes, it is not fair what happened to you, because you're calling me and you're saying, my balance is so high. What happened? I wasn't told it was going to go to 400,000. I wasn't told it was going to go to 300,000. You're absolutely right. They didn't tell you that. Why? Because they didn't care about you. They didn't want you to know your balance was going to go that high. They should have told you your balance was going to go that high. And they should have told you what you needed to do to make sure it didn't go that high. So two things they could have said was, number one, what we just talked about, make a payment. 1-800-952-PRAY, 1-800-952-7729. Write my number down, give it to somebody. Make a payment. That would have stopped the balance from going so high. It's water under the bridge. It's too late. Their balance already went through the roof. Second thing, why'd you take out so much cash? Well, I go, well, you did the reverse. How much did you qualify? Well, I didn't owe anything, so I was given $200,000. What do you mean you were given $200,000? What I mean is that somebody, my loan officer said that's what I qualified for, so they deposited in my bank account. Did you tell them to do that? No, they told me that's what they were going to do. Exactly. The choice to do something different was taken away from you. You weren't given the opportunity to decide, do you need $200,000 right now? Or do you only need $5,000 right now? Because we can take that other $195,000 or the full $200,000 and leave it in a line of credit, which means your balance stays at zero or just what the closing costs were. Which, by the way, we haven't even got into that. We will. So your balance could have been very low, but you weren't told that, so you didn't know. So they put the $200,000 in your account, right? Great. So I then say, well, just take that money then and put it back in your reverse. I don't have it anymore. What happened? I spent it. Things came up. All right, well, that I can't help you with. You spent it. You shouldn't have spent it, but I'll tell you what, it's still not your fault, because when somebody takes $200,000, $50,000, $10,000, and they stick it into the bank account that has a debit card that you can easily put in, it's so easy to take out. I know that firsthand. And then all of a sudden, family comes out of the woodworks. Whoa! Aunt Janine got $200,000. Time to hit her up for that car. Aunt Janine, can I get a loan? Aunt Janine or Mama Janine or my grandmother Janine, I need to go to school, or can you help me with this or that? That money disappears. But if it would have stayed in the line of credit, you had the decision making then to decide when you were going to take it out. It was still available to take out whenever you wanted, but it wasn't as easy as just walking in and putting your ATM card in the machine. You had to fax a form that said, I need to withdraw $5,000. And that's a big difference. But you were never given that option. So darn right, you hate the reverse. I totally understand, and I hate it too, because that's what happened. You weren't properly informed. So your balance has gone through the roof. So now what do? Do you just still kick rocks? Do you kick dirt? Are you mad as can be and you're just like, forget it and hang up? No. Don't let that anger destroy you. There's a possibility that could be corrected, and we can at least cut that interest rate and slow that growth of that balance, especially if you were put in a fixed rate like my mom was. We didn't know better. I put people in fixed rates for the first 2 years. Remember, I wasn't educated. I was only on A through F, F failure. Wasn't educated, so I didn't know the balance was going to go through the roof. So if you've got a fixed rate, there's a good likelihood we can cut that interest rate in half, which is going to preserve a lot more equity in the home for whoever you want to leave it to. Doesn't work for everybody. Your balance might be too high, but it doesn't hurt to call me at 1-800-952-PRAY, 1-800-952-7729 to find out if it is possible to cut that interest rate, because it's not going to cost you anything to do so. I'm going to incur all those closing costs. Another reason people hate the reverse mortgage, unsatisfied, because they got charged so much in closing costs that they didn't need to get charged. There's many reasons people hate the reverse mortgage, okay? And we didn't really even get to hit many of those reasons. We really didn't get a chance to kind of hit every single one, but that's what next week's always for. There's always tomorrow, as Clarice said to Rudolph. So that's my little Christmas innuendo there. So what you need to do, look at me on my Facebook page, the Christian Reverse Mortgage Answer Man. You need to be properly informed about what's going on. You need to not let your anger and your stubbornness about being in a program that was never fully informed to you and explained correctly. Don't let that stop you from correcting it, because many things can be done. If you qualify for more equity, moral of the story today was don't be a doubting Thomas. At least reserve that equity to keep it away from the bank. Otherwise, you're hand delivering your wallet, your purse, which you would never do to the big greedy bank. 1-800-952-PRAY, 1-800-952-7729. Anthony Miles, your Christian Reverse Mortgage Answer Man. To God be the glory. May everybody have a wonderful, blessed, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever religion you are. To me, you are all my brothers and sisters in Christ, my Creator. To Him, the thanks and glory. Let people see Jesus in your eyes. Make a difference, not just for Christmas and the holidays, but every day of your life. God bless.
1450 WOL.